You are listening to the Why Smart Women podcast, the podcast that helps smart women work out why we repeatedly make the wrong decisions and how to make better ones. From relationships, career choices, finances, to faux fur jackets and kale smoothies. Every moment of every day, we're making decisions. Let's make them good ones. I'm your host, Annie McCubbin, and as a woman of a certain age, I've made my own share of really bad decisions. Not my husband, I don't mean him, though I did go through some shockers to find him. And I wish this podcast had been around to save me from myself. This podcast will give you insights into the working of your own brain, which will blow your mind. I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I'm recording, and you are listening on this day. Always was, always will be, Aboriginal land. Well, hello, smart women, and welcome back to the Why Smart Women podcast. Wherever you are in the world, I'm sorry you're not here today on the northern beaches of Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, because it is weather perfection. I don't want to show off, but it's clear blue skies and 24 to 25 degrees, which is like optimum. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I think it's right. But does anybody listening care? You know what the weather is like when,
I don't know.
When we record?
Is it a stupid thing to talk about? Maybe it is. Maybe it's annoys people and they're like, yeah, shut up about the weather.
No one's given you any feedback on it, have they?
No.
Okay. Well, if you don't like the weather report each time, then let Annie know, and I'm sure she'll...
I'll ignore it. I'll ignore you. Anyway, today, David, Ryder, get out of it. I wanted to talk about self-love.
Oh. Is this an R-rated show or?
No, no. It's just that there's a lot of talk constantly about self-love.
Self-love. What do you mean? What does this talk describe?
Oh, generally speaking, there's a strong encouragement for us to love ourselves because, and that you can't, another person can't love you. You won't be open to being loved unless you love yourself first, right? So I want to ask you a question.
Are you taking exception to the notion of people loving themselves now?
Sure.
What?
Yeah, I am.
Isn't it fairly unquestioned that it's important that you have a high regard for yourself, that you treat yourself kindly,
Do you? I can ask you. Do you love yourself? See, you can't even answer that.
Oh, look, I have to think about it. Do I work?
That's right.
Oh, look, I mean, I guess whenever I do anything that is in my best interests, then that's loving myself, isn't it?
Is it?
Even when...
Like what?
Well, being careful when I'm in conversation with you, not to say anything inflammatory, and thereby get myself into trouble. Those are decisions that are in
avoiding...
avoiding making you cross. Is that self-love?
So your version of self-love
is just staying out of trouble.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Okay. You're happy with that definition?
I don't mind.
Yeah, okay.
Ask me.
I'll keep doing it. Do you love you, Annie? Tell me, do you love yourself?
I have no idea.
You don't have any idea?
No. What is it?
Okay. So when you say you don't have any idea...
Well, what is this self-love?
Exactly. So what is your mind going in search of? Do unto others as you would like people to do unto you.
No, because I'm not biblical.
No, okay.
You've gone straight to biblical.
Well,
oh my God.
Well, it's not just biblical. It's also cultural. That idea of doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. But I guess that's loving other people as you would love yourself. That presumes that you love yourself. Okay, so what could it be? Holding yourself in high regard and treating yourself kindly when you're hurt.
That's different.
What? That's surely. Why? Why is that different?
I don't know.
Like if you hurt yourself and I treat you kindly, you would say that is an act of love.
Yeah.
If I am hurt and I treat myself kindly, isn't that a good thing? Isn't that an act of self-love?
Sure it is, but when you see all the memes about self-love and you have to learn to self-love and people endlessly sitting in the lotus position focusing on self-love.
Yeah.
What is that?
Now I know what is irritating you.
Yeah, what?
And I reckon the irritation can be triggered by just one word.
What?
Pamper.
Oh, now you've conflated it with self-care.
Oh, sorry. I thought
Then maybe.
I thought that was the thing that was in your sights today, because I know that you do hate all of those.
I hate self-care.
You know, that social media stuff around. It's really
Self-care.
important to pamper yourself and have a
And
milk bath with rose
milk
petals
bath,
and
yeah.
buckets of Prosecco.
No, I'm talking about the notion
of just self-love.
that unless we work on loving ourselves, then we cannot be loved by another person, and that is it's a very strong. Hang on.
Okay, no.
Hang on. I want to say something, which I think sets up this terrible dichotomy of either you love yourself or you're screwed up, and you've got to then work on loving yourself.
Oh, right. Okay. So that extreme polemic, polarizing dichotomy of either you love yourself or you're screwed up.
Well, love yourself
I
or,
agree
work
with you
on, or work on it. You've got to go and work on it. And you tell me.
Okay.
You tell me, what are you meant to do to work on loving yourself?
Okay. All right.
Go on.
No, I think I see where you're headed. And I'm very happy to be the advocate for self-love.
Go on.
If we're talking about, well, let's just break it down into two words. Self and love. Let's take the verb, the loving bit.
Don't talk about it like that.
Well, I mean, to love is to do something that benefits the person who receives that action.
You should really be a pastor.
A pastor?
It's not too late. Not like a pastor like spaghetti.
Marinara.
You should.
If I was a pastor, what would I be? I would be linguini.
You'd be linguini.
I'd be squid ink linguini.
What would I be? Spaghettini.
I was going to say gnocchi.
It's so mean. Why would I be gnocchi?
Because you're
round.
You're light and frivolous and energizing.
Gnocchi is not light, frivolous, and energizing.
All right, well,
gnocchi sort of
comfort food. Yeah, that's it. Comfort food. You're very comforting to be around.
I'm not though, am I?
Not when you poke me.
I'm quite. People are going to think I'm horrible.
No, you're not horrible.
I'm
nice.
No.
No, you're love. Well, hang on a second. Now, surely, if you truly loved yourself, then these barbs, these slings and arrows, wouldn't hurt you at all.
Yeah. So this is the this is the trouble with it. Is this we are all flawed, right?
Yeah.
We're all riddled with flaws.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I think there is some notion that if you can't accept and sort of love yourself in the face of your flaws, then you'd sort of failed in the self-love test. But I think certainly in terms of loving the way you look, if you look in the mirror and you think, I look fat or I look old or my thighs are big or, my hair's going great, the roots, or whatever it is, right?
And that's self-criticism.
Yeah, but there's no point layering over that with some sort of mantra around, but no, I love myself, because you probably don't love yourself, and that's probably okay. Probably the best we can do in terms of accepting the fact that we're all flawed is go for a sort of a mild acceptance. Maybe like a neutral feeling.
Okay, so now I really feel I have to go back to the words themselves.
Yeah, but the words themselves could just be bullshit.
Yeah, the words could be bullshit. I think if you talk about self-love as a noun, as a thing, self-love is this thing. If you do it, then you're okay. If you don't do it, then you're screwed up, and you really should work on yourself.
You better go and work on yourself. And then how do you work on yourself, and what are you meant to do?
Okay, if you describe love as a noun, then I think it's problematic. If you describe love as a verb, what it is that you do, then I think it's actually a whole lot clearer. Because then you are talking about, an act of love is an action, it is doing something that is helping another person or supporting or encouraging or just loving them. It's an action. And so self-love, and this is, I do think this is where all of these terms get distorted when they do find themselves into the health and well-being lexicon. And
this is where I think health and the whole wellness thing comes. You can go to a day spa and sit and meditate and learn and sit with yourself and learn self-love. But this is another point I'd like to make. We don't live in a vacuum. So then there's this thing about, well, we shouldn't be reliant on the externals, right? You shouldn't be reliant on external validation. We should just be able to love ourselves the way we are. But that's rubbish, because we are tribally brained. We don't live in a vacuum, and we are, to a very large degree, reliant on the approval of others. And that's the truth of it.
Well, that's the truth of it for some people.
Well, who's it not the truth for? Someone that lives in a frigging cave.
Nelson Mandela.
Oh, don't bring Nelson.
Look at the history of Nelson Mandela.
I don't want to.
Well, but
he's an anomaly. He's a hero story. Hero stories do not help us.
What's that line from Invictus? I am the captain of my soul. And
Too
it was
many hero stories. Most of us are not stuck in jail for 25 years. Most of us are just, and he was magnificent, no two ways about it, but most of us are just leading.
That's right.
Ordinary lives.
That's right. And I think you can take the story of a Nelson Mandela. If you get into comparison, gee, I'm not as fabulous as him. I don't have that kind of psychological flexibility or tolerance or resilience, and he does and I don't, and therefore, I am lesser. Then that's not helpful.
No,
it's
not.
That's and again, that's just self-criticism. But if you can, if you ponder the story of Mandela and you go, well, how could he possibly have survived that time in prison? How could he have emerged from his time in prison with no bitterness or rancor against his captors?
It just those stories, they just drive me nuts. Those stories of these absolute anomalies, these people that are drenched in exceptionalism, and then we talk about the fact they've got raised consciousness. And then I'm like, well, where does that leave the rest of us? Because mostly we're just trying to get on and have, good days. Sometimes they're bad days, but trying to have some good days and do the best we can to enjoy what we've got around us, not to get on the hedonic treadmill.
Yep.
Right? The next thing that happens is going to be the thing that's going to make me feel good, because we know the hedonic treadmill is no better.
Yeah.
But this notion of I have to love myself and meet my own emotional needs before anybody else can meet them, it just doesn't wash.
Yeah. I guess what's occurring to me as you're describing the term
pearls of wisdom.
Your pearls of wisdom seem to be anchored in the extreme. When people take the notion and they elevate it. When they take self-love and they make it a noun, they make it an institution, they make it a cultural practice that I have to love. And what I'm saying is that quiet, just treating yourself kindly, giving yourself the benefit of the doubt, giving yourself a rest when you need it, giving yourself sustenance, giving yourself time out when you need it. The things that you do that serve your true best interests, not necessarily your hedonic ones. I think that's a form of self-love which I think is kind of quite constructive. I do agree that it shouldn't be the purpose of your life. That if you are entirely, self-loving and don't have any love for anybody else,
I just think it's another way that we can self-flagellate ourselves.
Let's help people not make that mistake then.
I'd be okay if I just had more self-love. So, I'd better, eat healthy food instead of having a nice full-fat piece of cake. I'd better meditate. I'd better go on yoga retreats. I mean, the things that are associated with self-love at that level are just so entitled. You have to be in a fair amount of, you've got to be in a position where you've got time and you've got money to go to a yoga class and you've got time to devote to meditation, and you're not a single mother with 2 children and you've got 3 jobs to hold down and maybe you've got an abusive partner. I mean, there are these people with these incredibly complex lives. So I think the word is solipsistic. So you don't have time for this solipsistic pursuit of self-loving because you're just getting on with your life. So for people that are just getting on with their lives and they're really busy and maybe they're under pressure and they're dealing with all sorts of stuff, what do they do?
Yeah.
It's of way more interest to me.
Okay, tell me if I've got this wrong, but what I think you're describing is that when people use a concept like self-love to just fashion another rod for their back, you know, or
Because it's unattainable.
because it's unattainable. Yeah. So, you know, I'm not doing self-love and so I'm a bad person. So they end up...
And I'll never be lovable.
Yeah, and I'll know. Yeah.
And I will never be lovable. But the fact is that, and this is a very interesting point, I think, you may not particularly think so well of yourself. You know, you may have nothing more than a neutral opinion of your looks. You may have no more than a neutral opinion of your intelligence or your creativity or your personality, but other people can still love you.
Yeah, and you know what?
You
I
didn't
don't...
hear that. That was a very important thing I said.
It is, and as you were saying it, I was thinking, no, I disagree with your frame-up.
Oh, okay, go on.
Yeah, because you're saying, you know, there is a singular you that will have a good evaluation of yourself or a poor evaluation of yourself.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and
yeah,
if
you're
you
right.
if you don't have a voice that is saying, you know, you're okay, you know, I'm with you, you know, you've been through a lot. You're doing the best that you can. You know that if you don't have that voice, then you're saying then the voice is absent.
Well, the voice comes and goes.
And again, come back to our definition of the way that the brain actually works. The brain is not a single voice. The brain is actually more like a parliament. It's more like a committee.
Committee voice.
And so rather than...
The chairman might be saying negative things.
The chairman might be
but
saying negative...
The vice president...
Yep. The vice president or the, you know, the head of sustainability and resilience.
Head of HR.
HR, yes. Head of encouragement.
What about IT?
Yeah.
Risk. What about risk?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In our mind, there are many voices that are often struggling and debating to be heard. And so it's probably not that you either have a voice that loves you inside and or likes you,
approves of you,
or doesn't.
Accepts.
I bet you probably do. It just could be very, very quiet.
I would say, me personally,
Mm-hmm.
I've got pretty good self-esteem. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Certainly. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think pretty well of myself.
Yes, you do. And
Doesn't mean that I don't have self-doubt. Days when I don't like myself. Days when I'm unhappy with my mood.
yes.
Days when I think I should be having more generous thoughts. Doesn't mean any of those things.
Yeah.
I go through all that. You know, I get quite anxious, but still, my sense of self-esteem is quite high.
Yeah.
I think I would like to have me as a friend. I think I'm quite good fun. I don't go through that sort of existential doubt all the time. But if you ask me if I love myself, I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't think so.
What you've just described sounds like the many voices model of the way that the brain works. You know, there are days when the loudest voice is, you know, you're a crappy writer, you're wasting your time,
Yeah.
there's no point doing these podcasts, no one cares, nobody listens.
Yeah, good.
There are days when you have that.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, I think
Yeah.
that when push comes to shove,
Meow.
when push comes to shove, that fundamental sense that you are okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I think that that's probably the most enduring voice. So it sounds to me like what you were describing, it actually fits the model of the brain, or indeed the mind, if you will,
Yeah.
offering up different voices.
Yeah.
And luckily for you, the voice that you come back to is one that is fundamentally self-affirming, self-accepting. You know, you think you'd be a pretty good friend.
I do.
You quite like you, yeah.
I quite like me, but as I have, and I won't bother going through it again, but I have all sorts of, I said to you this morning, I've just read back through the first chapter of my book and it's total rubbish and no one's ever going to publish it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I still have that. But I think that if I had spent the last 20 years devoting myself to loving myself, I don't see the benefit of that. I would rather spend my time looking at the quality of my thinking and applying critical thinking to some of the more repetitive thoughts that go through my head. So if I have a strong emotional reaction to something, my first impulse, and not always, but I'd like to think, is to go, is that valid? What's going on there? What's driving that? Which means I try not to be incredibly reactive. I try and look at the cognitive flaws in my thinking. Is that consistency bias? Is that confirmation bias? Is that the spotlight effect?
Yeah.
Right? So that to me is of more benefit to me leading a sort of a constructive, purposeful life than trying to have self-love, because I think I'd never get there. I'd never make it, and people will love me anyway, won't they, regardless?
Well,
and then I feel good about myself because I've got good friends and I've got you around me.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel good, and that's fine.
Yes.
And you're external. You don't live inside me, and my friends don't live inside my head.
This is true. And so, listen, I will say this thing first.
Do.
Is that I will always love you.
Thank you, David.
Okay.
Yeah. But what if you don't?
And well,
what if you leave me?
I want you to remember that
Janelle.
when I share this next thing, and I don't want you to be offended by it.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so you're saying, when you observe yourself, you haven't spent a lot of time at the spa.
I look good though.
Or you do.
What sort of spa? Beauty spa.
Yeah, a beauty spa.
Oh.
Nail spa. Hair spa.
How do I look regardless?
You look fantastic.
Careful.
Right? Yeah, you just look great, right?
Go, yeah, go.
But
Yeah, go.
I'm reflecting back to you. You say you haven't spent a lot of time consciously doing self-love stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that your self-love has been taking care of itself, without you necessarily calling it that.
Okay, that's an interesting thing you just said. What do you mean by that?
Okay. So I think of self-love as an action, right? It's something that you do. And
But I don't think people see it like that. They talk about it. I think they think about it being like having some self-care and then having a good feeling about themselves.
Right. I mean, clearly it's been working for you. Your approach to self-love, you've had just enough of it in order to get to where you are at the moment. You've always looked after yourself pretty well. It's like if you don't like the restaurant, we go to another restaurant. If you don't like the hotel, we go to another hotel. If I suggest we go camping, you say, there's no way I'm going to go camping, and you avoid those sorts of things. These are actions that you are taking that are actually,
so that's
taking care of yourself.
Boundaries, like I've got
boundaries.
That's
right.
Sound quite selfish.
Yeah, well, no, you're not selfish. This is just, I think, what anybody would do. If I say to you on a Friday evening, would you like a margarita?
Yeah.
You will. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So no, you don't put that under the banner of self-love, but I think it's under the banner of
No, fair point. Fair point.
That'd be nice. And so if I am speaking on behalf of the validity of self-love as a practical action that takes care of yourself, then yeah, that's what I think of when I think about you.
Yeah.
You don't, you don't turn self-love into a ceremony and post it on Instagram and, make other people feel bad that they're not as enlightened and fabulous as you are, which we sometimes see. No, it's just more practical.
Okay, this is the self-love, and this is through the lens of psychology. Self-love is a practice of prioritizing and nurturing your own physical, emotional, spiritual, and social well-being, characterized by self-appreciation, self-compassion, and acceptance of your true self, both strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, cool.
It involves actions, which sounds fine. It involves actions like, to your point, actions, that do, like setting healthy boundaries, speaking kindly to yourself and taking care of your needs, rather than being a fixed state or narcissistic trait. Cultivating self-love leads to better mental health, increased optimism, and a greater ability to embrace new opportunities. So that, to me, sounds totally fine, because it's like self-compassion. It involves being understanding of your mistakes and losses and communicating with yourself without harsh judgment or punishment. That sounds fine. Meeting basic needs, eating, sleeping, exercising. Honouring your true self. Oh, here we go.
If you're going to read definitions, you're bound to find something unpalatable.
Well, it's about recognising and accepting all parts of yourself, which is fine, including your emotions and fears, and being true to your authentic self. Now, you know I think there is no authentic self, but anyway.
Okay. But can I sort of describe a...
but that's what I don't think. I think that's not what people think of. And can I just finish my thoughts on that? Accepting your flaws and accepting, you know, like for instance, your body the way it is. As I said, I think the best you can do is just go for neutral. I think going, I love myself, like I truly love myself, is just sets up, because it's a lie, right? Like you don't, right?
Yeah. But to your definition, you can accept yourself.
Well, you can...
You can accept yourself, you can have compassion, you can accept your strengths and your weaknesses and not get involved in a whole lot of drama about being that person.
I think it's really hard.
It is hard. Oh, sure, it is hard.
I think I like that idea of just going for neutral, like looking at yourself instead of going, because I've got, you know, so many girlfriends who have got like on their mirror, I do not have so many girlfriends. That is a gross exaggeration. I had one, and on her mirror, it said, you are beautiful.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But she didn't think she was beautiful. And all that sets up is your brain goes, no, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. Yes, I am. It's a complete waste of time.
Yeah,
you may as well go, that's what I look like, pretty neutral about it. There's more to me than my looks. Off you go.
All right. So practice makes perfect, but only if you practice the right things.
Yeah, that's true.
If you put a sign on your mirror and say, you are beautiful, you're a total spunk, and you look at it and that creates dissonance, then obviously that's not the sort of thing that you should be practicing. Look, with several therapy clients that I've worked with that are dealing with grief and dealing with the kind of grief that is also mixed up in a poor self-image, you know, if they've been in a relationship with a narcissistic partner for a long time and that narcissistic abuse.
Narcissistic is hard to say, isn't it?
That narcissistic abuse has got beneath their skin and they've started to think, I'm a bad person and I'm really sad about this.
Yeah.
There is an exercise that
then the worst thing that they can do is try and love themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct. It's just bullshit.
Yeah, because what is going
get there.
Because the state that is going on in their body is that they are carrying the biochemistry or they're carrying around all of the information in their body that is either grief or anxiety or even self-loathing. And that's a really difficult thing to shift when someone is, deep in the valley of the shadow of death, when you
there you go again.
Sorry, it's cultural as well. When someone's having a really hard time, they're anxious, they're grieving, they loathe themselves, there's an exercise that I ask them to do. And
Hang on,
that is
before you go into that. So they're in that state.
Yeah.
And then you add into the mix, well, you need to go away on a retreat and learn to love yourself. And all that's going to do is they're going to try for a minute, not manage it, come back and have one more thing they failed at.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
And we don't want that.
We want more failure.
So I'm suggesting that we low-key it, that we make it an action. And this is the thing that that I teach. I also use it myself. When I'm in moments of grief or disappointment or loss or anger, any big emotion, rather than saying I shouldn't be feeling this, if I was enlightened, if I was truly resilient, if I was,
enlightened,
if I was all of those things, I wouldn't be feeling this. We know that doesn't work.
We certainly know that doesn't work.
What I have found does work is that I will lift, the left hand or the right hand, and I will think about what I would do if I was in the presence of a friend, one of the children, if they were anxious or grief-stricken or full of self-loathing, what would I do with that hand? I'd place that hand on them and I would reassure them. And so I asked somebody to hold up their hand and to fill that hand with all the love and the acceptance and the reassurance, just to do this as a thought experiment, and to feel love in their hand. Yes, I know it's a metaphor, but to feel that sense of love in their hand and then to place their hand on the part of their body that's hurting. So it might be their heart, it might be their throat, it might be their head, it might be their stomach. And that is an act of self-compassion. It's an act of self-acceptance. As you place your hand on your heart...
you're just looking at where the pain is.
Yeah, and you're saying, listen, I get it.
Instead of going for some sort of disconnected notion of self-love...
That it's going to fix you.
And self-care. Yeah. You're just going, in that moment, I feel this pain and it's located somewhere in my body.
Yes.
And instead of trying to stay away from it and go towards a notion which is very difficult to embrace, I'm just going to, for a minute, just be nice to myself.
Yeah, I'm just going to do that.
Just for that minute.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
Just for that minute.
Just
Let's
for that
go
minute.
for that.
And
Feel better for a second and maybe not.
Feel better for a second?
And maybe not.
Maybe not. And that's the thing about a true action. An action is the act itself. It's not attachment to the destination.
Ooh, it's deep.
Well, sorry. So
At
like...
least you didn't say journey.
Yeah. So you're going to hate it because I'm going to use a sporting metaphor now.
Actually, at this point, I've got to say,
what?
I would prefer a sporting metaphor than if you come up with any more biblical quotes.
All right. Okay. So take the process of kicking a goal.
All right.
Kicking a goal with a football.
Must I?
Yeah.
Go
Well, I'm suggesting that it is.
Okay.
You can separate the idea of I have to score a goal, that's expectation, to the process of just kicking the ball. You know, kicking the ball in the direction that you want to with the intent that you want.
But then you're not going to win the game. I
Uh,
was just in rehearsal.
no, this is in the moment. You can't score the goal and kick the ball at the same time.
What?
You kick the ball in order to score the goal, but in that moment you can only do the one thing. Focus on, your kicking of the goal. Focus on what you are doing to yourself. Put a loving hand on your chest. Say to yourself, it's okay. It's natural to feel like this.
I don't get that thing about the ball and the goal.
Okay. If you self-love...
hang on. Take out the self-love thing.
All right.
I'm
what I'm
kicking
talking
the ball in order to score a goal.
Yes, but I can tell you...
But aren't I focused on the goal, the poles, net?
Yeah, you know where you're going, right?
I know where I'm going.
That's right. You know what your intention is, but you can't...
This is why I've never played sport, clearly.
Yeah, that's right. You can't kick the ball and score the goal at the same time.
It's quite soon afterwards.
It is quite soon afterwards. It is. It is.
It's quite soon.
But the only thing that you have control over is the way that you kick the ball.
Sure.
The only thing that you have control over is the way that you do the verb.
In that moment.
In that moment.
And that's that whole thing, which I sort of, even though I've always been deeply irritated by the notion of mindfulness, I do see that actually, while you're, constantly cogitating and catastrophizing and ruminating about the past or ruminating about the past or catastrophizing about the future, there is something about coming back into the moment where you just have a sip of tea.
Yeah,
I do get that.
Yeah.
And it's a really hard thing to do. I have been trying to do it lately, and I'll feel the sun on my arm or the the breeze on my face, where I get it really clearly is that removal from that constant voice that's in my head is when I'm at the gym and we have to get, I don't know, 10 calories on the bike in 2 minutes, and it's at 1 minute 40.
Yep.
And someone's on it, and for that 20 seconds,
you're just pedaling.
All I'm doing is pedaling.
You're pedaling.
And that's
okay.
all I'm doing.
You're in action. Yeah.
That's all I'm doing. And in that regard, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Because I cannot do that and also worry at the same time.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay. So I know that you think that I'm being overly conceptual when I say love is a verb. Self-love is a verb.
Yeah. We've just got to take it out of the vernacular.
Oh.
I think I get it. Can we just go...
Be kind to yourself.
What about just like yourself a bit?
Okay.
What about that? Like yourself a bit.
Look,
today.
Annie,
isn't that easier to manage?
Annie, whatever works for you, fabulous.
Thank you, David,
Yeah?
for that wise and pastoral comment.
Oh,
Oh my God Almighty! Whatever works for me.
wise and past. Well,
was so. I'll just do it for you. See how this works. No, wait. I'm going to do
Hang
it
on.
for you, David. Whatever works for you. That's good.
So is what you're saying that what works for me is not going to work for everybody? Is that what you're saying, Annie?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So some
But
people.
I didn't say that. See, you had a pastoral
Some people
feel.
might like
You
a little
should
bit of
be-
scripture.
You should.
Some people might
Well,
like.
you can
maybe
set up
that's
your-
their way of. Maybe
Yeah,
that's their
that's
way
true.
of building some artistry
I
around
do
their
remember
self-love.
that your the first actor's agent that you had
Philomena?
Philomena.
Oh.
I do remember this about Philomena.
Oh, Philomena Moore, fabulous
She was a
woman.
fabulous actor's agent, and she
was a very strong Catholic. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and she used to go
to Mass
every morning.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really get that.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know why I get it?
You go to the gym.
Because it's ritual. I totally get it.
Yeah.
And there's also something, considering I'm incredibly non-spiritual and irreligious, there is something I really love about sitting in a church.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's beautiful.
That's why they built them that way.
I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
So in some ways, I used to look at Philomena, even though she wasn't my agent. Thanks, Philomena. And I thought that was a great thing that she did, because it was a ritual and it gave her a sense of belonging and a sense of quiet. It was great.
Yeah, and look, this is actually where I think we are entitled to be proud about the habits that we build. Mm-hmm. Because if we are building a habit that does make us feel better, feel stronger, feel more compassionate, feel more solid, feel more generous, feel bigger and able to deal with things. If you are building that particular habit, then I think you can look at that and go, yeah, go me. Like you've got that habit with your going to the gym, right?
Listen, the thing what you just said is that you're talking about being better in the world, right? If you hang on. If you're doing something that makes you, more compassionate, able to achieve more, sort of more purposeful,
Yep.
More generous, more kind,
Yep.
then that's a good thing. But what you're talking about there is being relational in the world. It's different,
Yeah.
which is what I'm saying. You're talking about being a human being in relationship to other human beings. We don't live in a vacuum. And the more we get into this self-love, self-care business, I reckon the more awry we go.
Yeah, well, Abraham Maslow would probably tell you that you're not right there. Because the sorts of things that you're talking about, looking after other people, maybe that's self-actualizing needs or, higher on the scale of needs. As you say, the world is not perfect. If your physical and biological needs aren't being met, right, then that's the first thing that's going to be most important to you.
Okay. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? It goes from the bottom, which is like air and water, and the top where you're self-actualized.
Yeah.
Now, I would say that, say in the sort of middle-class lives that we lead, right, especially at the moment, we are spending quite a lot of time caring for other people. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, a bit.
And that in itself is its own reward, right? That feeds back a sense of purposefulness. That to me feeds back a sense of identity to me, which makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah.
Right. Which is different to sitting in a meditative state, trying to love myself. Also, I agree with Maslow's hierarchy of needs that, of course, if, for instance, you're in a war-torn place at the moment in the world, then you're at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs because you're in the survival mode.
Yeah, exactly.
And I get that. I totally get that. But we're mostly not in survival mode, you and I. We've got our basic human needs met, correct?
Yes, and as we go from one context to another, there are things that can erode our sense of physical safety, of social safety. Do I actually belong to this group? Every morning that I get up, generally speaking, the first thought that I have is I haven't done enough in order to self-actualize.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, the first thoughts that are creeping beneath my head are generally around, my poor evaluation on, me making the best of the gifts that I've been given.
Oh.
And that's just kind of,
really?
I think it's a reflexive thing that's come out of my psychological history, etc., etc.
We all bring our histories, our childhoods, the cultures that we grew up in with us, do we not? And I guess it's up to us as we get older to start to, really analyse some of those reactive states and maybe start letting them go.
Yes.
That's not a great way to wake up.
No, that's right. And
I think you do great.
What?
In your life. But see, there you go. Now, does that make any difference to you?
Oh, look, I've packed it away somewhere.
Right. So if you tell me I'm doing great, I go, oh, beauty.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, that's because you are.
Well, so are you.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just the way we view it.
Yeah.
So on that note, it's, quick, so you can say one last thing, and then we have to go and let the good people go back to their lives.
Rightio. Okay. So
We have to go to the beach.
I think it's okay for you to reflect on whether meeting some of your own needs first will help you to be the person that you want to be.
But
either for yourself or for other people.
I agree, but that's this thing that you can physically do in the world. You can have good boundaries. You can read a book instead of doing something you don't. You can physically do things. I just don't think, doing a meditative practice where you go, I love myself unconditionally is going to do anything except make you feel bad because you come out of the meditation, you still don't feel any better anyway.
Are you speaking from personal experience? No, that's hypothetical.
Of course I did. Of course I did that. What are they called?
What the personal development courses that you did?
What was the things you say to yourself?
Oh, mantras.
I did
mantras, affirmations.
Thank you. I did affirmations for years. It was just frigging pointless.
Okay.
Did absolutely nothing.
Clearly, you've ended up bitter.
Yeah, I'm so bitter and twisted. Anyway, so thank you, David. Thank you, Harrison. Poor Harry has to sit here next to us and listen to us blather on. But you don't mind, do you, Harry? Not at all.
Yeah, Harry, just take your right hand up, fill it with compassion, maybe your left hand as well, and then put them over your eyes like this.
David the pastor. You need your own church, David. What would it be called? St. David's.
It's just up the road.
Yeah. What about me?
You?
St. Anne's. On that note, thanks for listening, smart women. I hope you enjoyed our ruminations on self-love. Please don't give yourselves a hard time because you're not involved in the self-love movement. Stay safe, stay well, keep your critical thinking hats on, and see you soon. Bye. Thanks for tuning into Why Smart Women with me, Annie McCubbin. I hope today's episode has ignited your curiosity and left you feeling inspired by my anti-motivational style. Join me next time as we continue to unravel the fascinating layers of our brains and develop ways to sort out the fact from the fiction and the over 6,000 thoughts we have in the course of every day. Remember, intelligence isn't enough. You can be as smart as paint, but it's not just about what you know, it's about how you think. And in all this talk of whether or not you can trust your gut, if you ever feel unsafe, whether it's in the street, at work, in a car park, in a bar, or in your own home, please respect that gut feeling. Staying safe needs to be our primary objective. We can build better lives, but we have to stay safe to do that. And don't forget to subscribe, rate and review the podcast and share it with your fellow smart women and allies. Together, we're hopefully reshaping the narrative around women and making better decisions. So until next time, stay sharp, stay savvy, and keep your critical thinking hat shiny. This is Annie McCubbin signing off from Why Smart Women. See you later. This episode was produced by Harrison Hess. It was executive produced and written by me, Annie McCubbin.